Today we are working on nested groupings with order of operations. So nothing is changing with order of operations. The only thing that we are adding in is a bracket. And so when solving the order of operations problems with brackets, or we can refer to them as nested groupings because it's like one within the other, you want to start with the innermost grouping first. So let's look at an example. Now remember our order of operations GEMD AS, grouping, exponent, multiply, divide, add, subtract. So we have to look for groupings first. Now if I look at this, I have a grouping right here. This whole thing right here is a grouping. But I have to follow order of operations inside of the grouping. So I have to look within that grouping and see, oh, well, there's another grouping right here that I need to solve first. So I have -8 minus 7. If you need to, you can add in that little plus sign right there, and it would be like -8 plus -7, so that you can see that they are the same sign. So that is going to be -15, and I'm going to leave it in parentheses, keep it the bracket, divide -8, and then I have a subtraction with a 1 to the first and another bracket to close it. Now I have to ask myself, do I still have groupings? Well, I still have the grouping inside of that brackets there. And what am I going to solve within that grouping first? Well, if I have one number inside of a grouping, that means it's like a fake out. So I need to do the, so we're going to do the exponent that's here. So we're going to do 1 to the first power, and 1 to the first power will be 1. Open bracket minus -15, parenthesis, close bracket, divided by -8. Now I have the brackets, but I only have 1 minus -15. Remember, those are the dancing negative signs. They come together and make a big plus. So I have 1 plus 15, which is 16, and you can leave it in the brackets if you want, divided by -8. And then 16 divided by -8 would be a -2. And remember, you can use the triangle for that one, or the tic-tac-toe. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. All right, let's look at example number 2. Now, number 2 is a little bit more complicated because we put in absolute values. So we have the absolute value right there that we're going to have to solve. So remember, for order of operations, we have grouping, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Do I have any groupings? Well, yes, I have this big giant bracket here, and I need to figure out what am I going to do first inside that bracket. And I have absolute value, which is a grouping, so I need to solve that first. So I have 3 plus 10, which is 13, and it's in absolute value, so it's going to be a positive 13 minus 1 times 9 plus -5, close bracket, divided by 3. Now, I'm still not done with all the stuff in this bracket, so I need to deal with that grouping first. So according to the bracket, I don't have any groupings inside, I don't have any exponents inside, but I do have multiplication division, so I have to do that 9 times 1. 9 times 1 is 9, plus -5, close bracket, divided by 3, minus 13, and bracket. I still have the bracket going there. What am I going to do first inside that bracket? Well, I just have addition, subtraction left, so I'm going to go from left to right. So I'm going to do -5 plus 9. They have different signs. Find the difference. So -5 plus 9 will be 4. Minus 13, bracket, divide by 3 outside. And the only thing I have left inside my bracket is the subtraction, 4 minus 13. They have different signs. If you need to add in a little plus sign right there so you can see it's 4 plus -13, go ahead and do that. And they have different signs, we'll find the difference, so that's -9 divided by 3. And so I have 3 divided by -9, and that is going to equal a decimal but we're not going to work with it as a decimal, so we're just going to write it as a fraction. So we're going to write it 3 over negative 9, and then we can simplify that fraction. So we can divide by 3, and we'll get negative 1 over 3. So that will be our final answer for number 2. And you won't have really any other ones that are that complicated where you get fraction answers, but I prefer a fraction answer rather than a decimal answer. All right, so let's talk about number 1 and number 2. So remember, you need to do your grouping, your exponent, your multiply, divide, your add, subtract. I have a bracket, so that's my grouping that I need to do first. What am I going to do first inside of that bracket according to order of operations? I need to do 2 minus 16. 2 minus 16, they have different signs. If you need to add in a plus sign, do that. So it's negative 4 times 8 bracket divide by negative 5 minus 3 bracket. I still have the bracket there to solve. I don't have any groupings. I don't have any exponents. I need to do the multiplication. Negative 4 times 8. Remember the pyramid. So it's going to be 32, and a positive times a negative will be a negative. So it's a negative 32 minus 3, bracket, bracket at the end, divide by negative 5. The biggest mistake I've seen students make is they lose track of their brackets and they don't bring everything down. This is why we've been really enforcing that you need to copy down all your work for everything in each individual step. Okay, I just have that last step in my bracket. Remember, these are the dancing negative signs. They come together to make a plus. So I have 3 plus 32 is 35, divided by negative 5. And 35 divided by negative 5 will be negative 7. Okay, I want you to pause. Try number 2 on your own. And when you're ready, unpause so that you can check your work. So I'm going to do this bracket first. I have to do the parentheses inside first. So 18 minus 4, which is 14. 14 divided by 7 is the next step, which is 2. And you don't have to leave it in brackets if you don't want to. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 1, and so you get negative 7 for that problem. All right, let's look at the next page. So I want you to try 3 and 4 on your own. Be careful with number 4 because it has that absolute value. And when you're ready, unpause so that you can check your work. So here are your answers for 3 and 4. Let's look at, do you need to see those? Let's look at our answer. Let's do 5 and 6. So pause the video. I want you to try number 5 and number 6 on your own. Here are your answers for number 5 and number 6. And then I want you to pause and I want you to try number 7 and number 8. And here are your answers for number 7 and number 8. Please remember, if you're struggling, go to your teacher and get help if you need it.